Hey guys, I forgot to show you how I had the body properly aligned in the earlier parts of this build. So I figured I'd just give you a quick look at it now. After assembling the body and gluing everything together, to get the proper alignment of all the parts, you really will have to get the body pinned down and clamped together so that it'll stay where you want it as the glue dries. The fitment of the panels was really good, but in order to get them to sit right where I wanted them, this is what I had to do. I got 4 small plastic clamps. These are available at Home Depot. Attached them to the body to control the height, the front and rear movement of it, and the in and out movement of it in order to get the panels to sit exactly where I wanted to. Then I just let them dry and repeated the entire process for the other side panel of the body. Not a kit for beginners, believe me. Working on the added details for the Admiral Cabriolet. We're adding some stuff to the engine compartment so it doesn't seem so empty. Now, the first thing we're going to add, which we've already made, this is a hydraulic fluid. I mean, it may be brakes, it may be, I don't know what else, that I saw in a photograph. Well, focus, camera, focus. Here we have the... Come on, camera. Focus. Let's see if it'll focus this way. No? Focus that way? No? It's not going to cooperate, are you? There we go. Alright, there we go. Now we'll just zoom in. Here we have a hydraulic reservoir made. Let's see if it focuses with this hand. Here you can see I've painted it with a little bit of the hydraulic fluid. I've darkened the canister itself a little bit. There I used Tamiya clear yellow, and then I went over it with Tamiya smoke. I made the cap, cut the grooves in it to give it the finger holds. Added a brass rod underneath with a bead fitting. And there we have our hydraulic reservoir with the pipe feeding something or another. So that's done. Now what we're working on is the coolant hose. Now, to make that, I use the... What are these? Wire. These are florist wires or something like that. You can pick these up at the Hobby Lobby. And then I'm using this rubber hose. I wanted something that was a bit larger than the stuff that I've used for the spark plug wires, as all the other stuff I had was a little bit too similar in size. So I wanted something that would look quite a bit different. So I'm using this Getty springs. Again, you can get them from Hobby Lobby. This whole roll of massive Getty springs only cost me, I think, $2. Now what this is a hollow tube. See? Hello. Can we see any light through there? No, we can't because it's too long. Now I took the wire and I made the shape that I wanted for the hose. It's going to go into the firewall there. This has got to be for the heater. So, but we can't have that as a wire there because that would just look silly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Getty strings and I'm going to run it through the wire. And that is going to give us our hose and also hold the hose in a realistic position. And we're going to make some fittings to tie it down to the firewall. So all I have to do now is cut the hose end here where there is no wire. There we go. And now we have our preformed coolant hose. This works really well in this particular scale because the Getty springs just kind of lend themselves to a larger diameter line than the spark plug wires. So then we're going to just push that right up against the firewall. And now we have a coolant hose going to our heater core. Now I have to make the return hose and somehow find a way to make that fit. As in the real car, they're right next to each other. And then the original position I had for the hydraulic cylinder was going to be right here in the center. I'm going to have to move that over. As from the photos I've seen, both hoses are right outside of right in the center of the car, which kind of explains what that little black round thing is. I don't know if you guys can see it down there in the center underneath the dashboard. It's apparently the heater, from what I've been able to gather, based on this, what I'm seeing here and what I've seen online. So that's going to add a little more detail to the engine compartment, and we're just going to keep going. Okay guys, I decided to change the pace with the hose that I just went through all the trouble to show you how I made, because when I held it in the engine compartment, it just, I don't know, it looked out of scale to me. So we'll be saving this for something in the future. As you can see, I even went through the trouble of adding the hose clamps, which I made with the Hasegawa metal foil. Just cut a small strip of it, attach it to the back of to the end of the hose, and here we have our hose clamps. And I did all of that, got everything bent nicely, and just decided that it just looked too out of scale with everything else. So I went the more conventional route. Got my Tamiya cable. You can buy them by the pack there, different diameters. And I thought that this looked a bit more in scale with the car than what I had done before. So basically that's quite a bit more of a easy installation. Basically I just cut the cable to size, drew my 2 holes, stuck them in there. I did make the hose clamps on the ends of the cable. I don't know if you guys can see that there. And that's pretty much it. Now we just have to size them up, lay them in a realistic way, which is the challenging portion of it. Attach them to the water pump assembly there, and then we're going to make, using the metal foil, a hose clamp to hold it to the fender there. Alright, so we're going to get on that, and I'll be back with the finished product. Alright guys, here we have the completed heater hose and hydraulic reservoir assembly in the car. It does help to add a little more detail to the inside. It's not really much more that I can do except for maybe run a couple of harnesses in there. Gotta take a look and see what else I can add to this. But I'm really happy with the way that came out. I bent a little bit of the photo etch screw that I had to make a clamp to hold the hoses down. So there we go guys. A little extra detail added to it. Had to remove the radiator because it was in the way to get this done. Alright guys, got a little bit of update on the heater hoses. I decided that I didn't really like the way it looked, the way they were going into the firewall. So what I did was I made 2 gaskets for the firewall to give it a more realistic appearance of the hoses going into the firewall. The gaskets I made were extremely simple to make. Basically, I just took some of my Esgetti springs. I just cut a small little bit off the end of the hollow tube, and there I have the gaskets. Now I've reattached the radiator with its modifications, and I just have to decide what else I want to do with the engine compartment. A lot of reference video pictures I'm looking at. I've got to do something about that steering box. I don't like the way the shaft, it would not line up with the steering box no matter what I did. I don't know if I installed it wrong, but it seems to be the only way that it would fit because everything else, the linkage fits properly. So I'm going to have to do something there to make that look a little more appropriate. Haven't figured out what yet, but I'll think of something. But I am liking the additions to the engine compartment. Does busy up that side a little bit. And so now I just got to figure out what's on the other side. And once I do that, I'll be adding to that. Alright guys, we're going to keep this going. Here you can see the first mock-up of the reservoir, which was pretty good, but you can see it was before I had decided to add the hoses. Now here is what I described before, the wire I used to shape the original hose using the Esketti springs, and you can see I decided to go the different route, just like I said in the video. Just giving you a couple of beauty shots of the progress of it, so you can see how it started from beginning to end. Here you can see the original mounting of the coolant hoses without the grommets, and the photo etched bracket that I made to hold them in. Then I decided to wire the headlights, so I created an entire harness linking both headlights, and will eventually be running it toward the firewall using the harness pictured here. I also wrapped it to give it the simulated look of electrical tape. I then added a throttle cable going to the carburetor and decided that I think now I'm quite busy enough. You can see the harness here running toward the firewall. Here you see the throttle cable. You see the coolant hoses. It really busies up that engine compartment because it really was needing something. So here we go guys, we're getting toward the end of this build. It's really turning out nice.